Welcome back to the Ascension Academy podcast, where we talk about all things related to healing, spirituality, and the ascension to the new earth. I am your host, Lauren Denny, and today's episode kicks off a brand new season of the podcast, season 2. And I am so excited because today we are being joined by a very special guest, Desmond Squires, and he's joining us from Colorado Springs. And he is a super soldier. So we're going to be learning about what that means and what the super soldier program is. So welcome.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me. This is a really awesome opportunity.
Awesome. Thank you so much. So we were just chatting a little bit before we started, and Desmond was kind of sharing about preparing to come onto the show today and what that process was like for him. So is there anything you'd like to share with the audience about that?
Yeah, I would like to say something. First of all, originally deciding to come out with this information was intimidating for apparent and obvious reasons. And I'm positive that there's going to be other people listening that are going to relate to some of the things that I talk about in my story. And that's really a lot of the reason why I am coming out and telling the story. It's for the purpose of telling the truth. Okay, it's for telling my version of what I experienced. And so the idea is to relate to people and is to help people to be able to open their eyes a little bit better. And yes, it was a little bit nerve-wracking to make that decision. And I decided to swallow, take a deep breath, and then go forth with this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about the experience that I went through and how I was unwillingly abducted by a corporation and put through a program that was designed to create better soldiers, which is where the super soldier program comes from. At first, I didn't have any idea what this stuff was, and I started to experience things that would be considered side effects of the program and had no idea. And as I started to delve into them and started to get deeper and deeper into research and try to figure out what I was experiencing, at first I thought all sorts of things. I thought I had to do some psychological research at first, very clearly, right, to check myself out. And then I started noticing other people with the same conditions, same situation, same circumstances, and same symptoms. And when I looked into that, that's when it started getting very down a rabbit hole, very sticky, very deep. And there were several times I cross-checked myself. Am I losing it? Is it, what's going on here? Is this, am I breaking? What's going on? And as I did more and more research, I found out that I was more and more sane, and that what was happening to me was a normal reaction for someone that was going through what I was going through. And so to tell the story appropriately would be to tell it from my experience from the beginning. To tell the story appropriately would be to say that, you know, to bring you along with my experiences, I started to notice it, you know. And so the first thing I noticed is that as a child, I would experience just before I drifted off into dreamland, I would experience being teleported. And I didn't have any way of describing it. I didn't have any way of relating it to an adult. I was a young enough child that words were still new. And it was a reoccurring experience. And so there was no way to get parents or adults to relate to what I was dealing with. And I was afraid to go to bed at night because I knew if I was drifting off to sleep, I would be taken away. And the experiences that I had when I was taken away were traumatic, to say the least.
Yeah.
To give you an example, there were rooms that were covered in wallpaper. Some of them had zebra print or maybe confetti print, and the rooms had 5 walls. And they would hang me upside down and hit me with a steel pipe or maybe a taser or something like this, cattle prod, something like that. And at that time, I was on some kind of drugs like LSD or something like
Mm-hmm.
that. And so again, it was enough of an experience as a child to not want to remember it, not want to be a part of it, not want to go to bed, clearly, not want to sleep.
Yeah.
And so as I grew older, um, and just lived my life as a normal person is what I thought, I've discovered that really I was anything but, and that I was absolutely, um, I would use the word ostracized, and found myself in a unique group where um, after I had basically skipped first grade and seventh grade and eighth grade and 10th grade and 11th grade and went to Emily Griffith and got my GED before 12th grade. And then I went to a challenge program, which was designed for gifted students. And I also went to Olympics for the Mind, which I got a good ribbon in. So it was very
Wow.
obvious to me that they were paying attention to my
Mm-hmm.
success at the time. And again, I thought I was a normal person. I obviously was not. And at the age of 19, um, I discovered an implant in my right hand. And I went to my mom and I tried to tell her, look, I found an implant in my hand. And she says, no, this is a piece of wood that came from your childhood. And this happens to everybody. It's a piece of pencil lead or something to this effect. And, and
Uh-huh.
so on and so forth. Well, I didn't buy into it for one reason and one reason alone. The reason was because I see auras very clearly. And my
Mm.
bent around the inside of the implant. The implant was not part of my etheric field. It was only part of my body.
Mm.
It was clearly delineatable between
Mm.
my auric field and my body, and yet it was still there. If it was something like something I had gotten as a child, there had been enough time and lapse that I probably would not be able to see it. It would have taken on my energy.
I see. Yeah.
So I explained to her that, listen, this is not um, normal. This is not average. This is not typical. This is not a, oops, yeah, I got something stuck in my hand and now it's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was the beginning of the experiences. Then I started noticing that I was being taken from my bed in the middle of the night and manipulated. I would be taken to a hospital, and in that hospital, I would be, uh, they would start to put more implants in me. I've
Oh.
discovered more than one, let's put it that way. There's at least six that I know of. So, in the process of being in the hospital, they would, doing the implants, create a process that would make it difficult for the person to remember what was going on, and they would do it in a way that was easy to confuse it with a dream. So that you
Mm.
go to bed, you'd wake up the next morning, you'd be thoroughly exhausted because you've been up for 5 hours, and then back to sleep, and hopefully you got enough rest in the rest of the amount of time that night that you could get up and go to work the next day, or get up and go to school, or whatever you're going to do. And so I started to think of how I could either prove my case. I mean, you can imagine this was, again, the time where I was starting to wonder if I was losing it. What's going on?
Yeah, of
What's going
course.
on here? And so I thought, is there a way to either prove my case or to understand if I'm losing it? And so what I did was I started to experience things like um, people in my room in the middle of the night talking to me, counselors,
Mm.
psychological counselors asking me questions, sit on my bed and wake me up and talk to me wearing a brown suit, 5 foot 7, very nice person, multiple times.
Hmm.
And it was obvious that this isn't alien abduction. This was human abduction. This was people doing this.
Hmm.
So when I started waking up in the hospital, I had made an internal plan to be very vigilant because being that in my conscious memory and my experience, I never signed up for this. This isn't something that I tried to do. This isn't something that I decided that, hey, you know what? It'd be a really good idea to do this. No, I don't think so. I
Mm-hmm.
was quite against it, in fact. I was a peace-bound, love-loving, long-haired, happy person. Still, it was high school.
Mm.
So it was the last thing on my mind to be that kind of a person. And if I woke up in the hospital, I decided that I was going to do anything I could to put a thorn in their side. I was going to do anything I could to
Mhm.
make it harder for them. I wanted to be the one that stood out so that they eventually would say, look, this guy's a problem. Maybe we should just,
Yeah.
it's costing
Let
us money.
him. Yeah.
And so I woke up in the hospital and I'm on the bed and I'm laying face down and there's a nurse who's injecting some psychotropic into my calf. And she's talking to me about uh, the tattoos that I have and what
Hmm.
order I got them in so that she can get a reference as to how conscious I am and aware that I am.
Hmm.
I can remember my tattoos in order. It tells her how available or if the drug is working, something like this.
Oh, okay.
And being that there are stories, things that have happened before this that at that time I hadn't yet remembered, which I will go into in this interview. Things like receiving the implant, things like this. This was after I had received the implant. I was waking up and they were actually preparing me to receive another one, which is what they were probably doing. They were preparing me. And by this time, again, I had decided to make a problem for them. So I looked around and I'd already been enough of a problem for them that they had put security on me. There was a, there, I was a flight risk. There was a uh, fully camouflaged Marine Corps officer sitting there. And then there was another, um, would be considered psychiatric hospital type security. He was a very large gentleman with a capped syringe in his arm, waiting, like I said.
Hmm.
And so she injected my calf, and I was telling her about the tattoos in order, and I sat up and I realized that I only had a very small amount of time before whatever this was that she injected in me was going to take effect. And the person, the Navy personnel, whoever he was, Army personnel, whoever he was, the guy in camouflage was reading a magazine, looking through the magazine, and noticed that I had sat up on the bed. And I just gave him this look like, good luck, and I tore off down the hallway. And he got up.
Good idea.
At this time, I'm wearing a gurney, and that's it. There's no floating on underneath it. There's nothing, right? And this is something that help prevent flight risk. So I'm tearing down the hallway, and he's literally right behind me. And I wait until he's just behind me, and I take his momentum and slam him into the corner of one of the walls to bust his face open pretty badly. And as he's laying on the ground in pain and bleeding, I look at him and I say, well, it's a good thing you're in a hospital, huh? And immediately tackled by the other guy. Disadvantage. So again, yeah, I was already a flight risk. I was already causing problems. I was already creating a bit of a resistance for whatever it was that I was experiencing.
Mm-hmm.
So I thought, this is unreal. This can't be happening. This is, and I woke up with my shoulders sore because the guy had landed on me, right? These are physical
Mm-hmm.
distances. So I thought, how can I prove my case? So I took some tamper tape, evidence tape, and I took a watch and I tamper taped it, evidence taped it to my wrist. And
What
I made
is
it
what is tamper tape or evidence tape? What is that?
a type of clear tape that has the word tamper printed on the inside of it. And so if you put it on a box or if you put it on something and you cut that box, you've cut that tape. And it's very clear that that tape has been cut and that that tape was put there for a reason. And so if
Okay.
you cut it, you can't replace it. You can't. fix it. You can't.
Gotcha.
It's evidence proof is what it does.
Okay.
It makes it so that if you have evidence in a box and you tamper tape the box closed and you decide to get back in that box, that you know that no one's been in that box since the last time you closed it, unless they would
Gotcha.
pull the tape off perfectly and put it on exactly the same way it was. And,
Yeah.
it's very impossible. So I put a layer of tape on my wrist. I put the watch on their wrist. I put another layer of tape on it. I did this several times so that it had a lamination about it that would make it impossible to change the time to affect it somehow. And this is because several times I'd gone to bed and woke up and my watch was completely dead. No
Okay.
spinning it, or it would be off so dramatically that there would be no
Hmm.
spinning it. I have no idea why it would be so off. And so in this case, I went to bed and I woke up the next day. And of course, the first thing I did was look at the watch. The first thing I did was check the tamper tape to see if it had been cut. The tamper tape was not cut. The watch had not been affected. The watch was off and advanced by exactly 5 hours to the second. And they're telling
Hmm.
that as they were taking me and other people, that they were taking them exactly for 5 hours and returning them to the millisecond that they took them, so that it was impossible for anyone, even a person sleeping in bed next to them, to realize what had happened.
Wow.
People would say, well, how is this possible?
Mm-hmm.
Again, these projects that we were designed to work on, which is why we're not allowed to remember the stuff that we're not allowed to remember, we're dealing with these exact types of technology, which is
Mm-hmm.
exactly why they needed people that they could control and manipulate, people that could be unaccountable, people that could be unable to even remember the mission they were just sent on. Now, the implant that was put into my hand, it was put into my right hand. It was put into my right hand into the nerve cluster that's connected to the groin. And it is a Pavlov device. And it is
Hmm.
designed to create enormous amounts of pain or enormous amounts of pleasure. The pain will kill somebody in 15 minutes if it's
My
not turned
God.
off.
Yeah.
So what they'll do is they'll tell somebody, we'll ask you to do this mission, and if you do it, we'll give you the most pleasure you've ever experienced in your life. And people will subconsciously do it because they can't say no. And
Uh-huh.
come back, they'll say, if you don't forget that mission, we'll give you as much pain as you can possibly handle. And it'll kill you if you don't.
Wow.
So your body will physically just not remember what happened. And
Gotcha.
just
Okay.
back in their beds, and they'll have no idea. Ever felt exhausted in the morning?
Yeah.
So I go into discovering more about these implants, these Pavlov implants. And I find out that what they had done was they had taken a Home Depot pencil and they drew on a piece of construction paper. And then they took a piece of cellophane tape and they put the cellophane tape across the pile of carbon. And then they took that cellophane tape and touched it to another piece of cellophane tape. And then they created what are called wafers. And those are the smallest microchips in the world at that time. And
Hmm.
then they stack those wafers and they create a triangular shape. And those wafers are then coated in an epoxy, and that epoxy is pulled out into little hooks so that it works like Velcro and placed in the meat of the hand so that
Oh.
the body cannot reject it. It is a central processing unit. It is designed to vibrate at a specific frequency, like I say, to create enormous amounts of pain or enormous
Mm-hmm.
amounts of pleasure. It is also implanted using a device that is like it's an injection device. It would be
Hmm.
like a mechanical syringe. You could think of it like such. And so I have an entry scar on my hand,
Okay.
and
Wow.
I still have a small piece of the implant in my hand. We'll go into that story in a moment.
Okay. Yeah.
Remove the implant myself. I will
You
not tell.
did?
Yes, ma'am. I will not tell people how I did it because I do not want them to advance their ability to do it. Telling them how I got it out is telling them how to stop it from being taken out in the future.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll tell people how I tried. I'll tell people how it didn't work. I tried 8 times.
Gosh.
So I remember eventually the night that I was implanted. I remember I was 19 years old. I went to bed. I was listening to a tape, an audio cassette. I was listening to the Pleiadians, trans-channel. The Pleiadians came through very faint. They said, "We are the Pleiadians." I loved them. Incredible people. Incredible. They told us, you must have discernment. You must know that we are not us when we are not us.
Hmm.
I didn't understand what they meant. And at some point in time, Pleiadians Plus came through and they were very clear all of a sudden. And this is the discernment we needed because we were tricked. And the Pleiadians originally told us, we teach by tricking. Be very aware. And what had happened was Pleiadians Plus had infiltrated. Pleiadians Plus was Pleiadians plus something else.
Hmm. Okay.
They were in cohorts teaching mind control and implantation. And so the Pleiadians Plus on the audio cassette asked for permission to implant a geometric symbol into people. And this is how they tricked people into allowing the implant. Don't fall for it.
So what did they say?
They said, let's take you to a guided meditation. Let's allow you to relax to a deeper state. Let's take you to a place where you are open and available and allow yourself to be vulnerable. And then they said, now, give us the permission to implant you with a geometric symbol, the shape of a triangle.
So they technically did ask for your permission, but it wasn't, they weren't giving all the details of what this shape
Really slippery
entailed.
way of doing it.
Hmm.
That night I was abducted. That night I found myself in the hospital and I was standing in line among 5 other men of exactly my same age. And gender and race and ethnic quality, and they were specifically targeting people
Like you.
like me.
Yeah.
I'm standing in line, and the 4 people that are standing in front of me are in a state of somnambulism. They're not moving. They are totally hypnotized. And the 5th person I mentioned was now walking behind a curtain. Oh yeah, don't pay attention to the guy behind the curtain, by the way. Because what they did caused him to scream with such incredible, terrifying, agonizing pain that I woke up out of my hypnotism and wondered why these other 4 people in front of me weren't freaking out.
I see.
It looked exactly like cattle being put into a line to be slaughtered. And nobody understood what was happening.
Yeah.
You know what I did? I ran right out the front door of the hospital. Again, before, okay? It's 9 p.m. at night. I'm running with no shoes, no socks, wearing jeans. It's raining outside. I don't know what's going on. All I know is that guy sounded like he just died. And I'm running 5. And I run down the street for about a mile until I cannot breathe anymore. And I hide underneath a semi-tractor trailer. And I don't know what to do, where to go, where I am, what's going on. But I'm fully awake. I'm fully alive. I'm fully alert. This is a real situation. This is not a dream. This is not a hallucination.
Yeah.
After about 25 to 30 minutes, 4 military personnel show up. There was 5 eventually, but the 4 showed up originally. The 5th one showed up late because he was the commanding officer. He was Irish. These 4 gentlemen wore what I would consider to be flight jackets. They were orange on the inside. They were black on the outside. They wore berets. They had an patch. They had a patch on the jacket.
Okay.
as they held me to the ground and twisted my testicles to discover where the nerve system was so that they could identify it, and then implant the device into my hand just before I passed out, I was able to recognize the patch that was on their jacket as the Space Force patch. I
Wow.
dedicated it to my memory because I knew it was the only piece of evidence I was going to ever have. It was going to link
Mm-hmm.
what was going on. Black Pleiadians, implantation, mind control, and then missions. Going on missions where I would find myself in the middle of the desert. I assume it was in Africa, to be quite honest with you.
Hmm.
I was a commanding officer in the moment. My partner, for lack of better terms, walking with me. We were not in state. We were in normal person mode, walking through the desert wearing typical Arizona gear, t-shirt, shorts, shoes, socks. We're walking for a quarter mile maybe. We come across a mountain. On the side of this mountain is a base. It's obviously a military base. We
Mm-hmm.
both go into program immediately. As I observe the base, I realize the people crawling around in the base are wearing a type of camouflage that is burgundy.
Hmm.
Very strange. It looked like
Mm-hmm.
they had shopped at the Army Navy surplus and that they didn't have enough money for everybody to have a full uniform. Some people were wearing pants, some people were wearing a jacket, some people were, but nobody had a full uniform. And they were wearing burgundy camouflage, like Russian camouflage in the middle of the desert.
Okay.
Strange.
Yeah.
And so we walk in through the front gate and we already pre-framed, we're already prepped, we already know what we're supposed to be doing right now. His job is to sabotage the gate. My job is to jump into a truck that has something on the back of it that's tarped. It's clearly a small disc.
Mm-hmm.
I jump in the truck, I pull the keys out of the visor, I put the truck in reverse. It's a haphazard situation, so if anyone's behind me, I felt sorry for them. We're trying to get the heck out of here right now. I drive
Mm-hmm.
the truck straight towards the gate. Hopefully my partner did his job and sabotaged it. If not, I'm just going to try to ram through it. And as I get
Mm-hmm.
through the gate, I slow the truck down and wait for him to catch up. He gets on the side of the truck. I continue driving forward as he's climbing on the side of the truck to the passenger side of the truck. He climbs in and I begin to yell at him. Are you hit? Are you hit? Check yourself. Pat yourself down. Show me your hands. Are you hit? He pats himself down. He shows me his hands. There's no blood. I open communication to base and I say, we are clear for transport with no medic needed. And a giant pink portal opened in front of us. And
Oh
we
my
drove.
God.
And these are things that people are not allowed to remember.
Yeah.
So you
How are you
understand
remembering? Well, keep finishing your story that too. I want to hear.
the story, and
Oh
you
my God.
understand why this is so important, okay? Why they would go to such lengths. And just let me ask you a question. How much do you think it would cost, even if you did have the technology, to abduct somebody in the middle of the night and implant them and put them on a mission and then bring them back home without their knowledge?
How much do I think it would cost?
Yes.
Like
Taxpayers' dollars.
to create one super soldier?
Create one super soldier. And you can imagine the benefit because they don't have any trauma, they don't remember the mission, they don't have any accountability, they don't even get awards,
Yeah.
they don't get, does it mess their life up? Completely.
Yes.
Completely. It completely destroys their life because it has erroneous subconscious side effects.
Mm-hmm.
So it affects every part of their life after that.
Yeah.
So think about it for a moment, okay? You have a technology, you finally came across it, you finally have, one way or another, either engineered something or made a deal with some aliens so that you could indeed transport people and then take them back 5 hours later to the very second that they were taken away.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless of how that technology works,
Yeah.
How much
I
would
mean,
it cost?
I feel like that's priceless, like millions of dollars.
The dollars is right for one of them. And as I looked into it, I found that there were 2,000 implants taken out by Dr. Roger Lear on camera. He would sedate them.
Really?
He would put them on the table, sedated on the camera, and then
Mm-hmm.
begin cutting them incision-wise with a scalpel, and then take the hemostats and get a hold of this implant, pull it
Mm-hmm.
out, and then as soon as he cut it out of them, they would leap off the table and scream in his face. I'm sorry, but this poor man is not around anymore for
Huh.
obvious reasons.
Yeah, of course.
We thank him very much for his service. We thank him for what he did for us. He did an
Yeah.
amazing job of helping people see how many of them there were out there. So he took 2,000 of them out on camera.
Wow. And did he have them posted online? Like, where could people find those videos?
Well, I don't know if people can find them now, but
They've probably been taken down now.
yes,
Yeah.
it was something that was important to hide.
Mm-hmm.
But again, his silence is louder than anything else. You know, his
Mm-hmm.
sacrifice, the martyrdom that they did, made it louder than anything. Because again, how is he
Right.
sudden gone? Right? Clearly. Oh, he died of cancer. Yeah, I'm sure he did.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, and like I said, I have 5 or 6 that I know of
5 or 6 implants.
plants. You have to have a central processing unit, and then you need to have a battery. The battery is designed so that when it gets hot, it expands, and when it gets cold, it contracts, and in that process, charges itself, which is a type of technology that has been around for at least 100 years now. So we've been paying for electricity and have had batteries that charge themselves and have been planted in human beings that run the program. Now, again, let me retract that statement. There is a central processing unit and a battery and a nanopolymer wire that connects the two. They had to fish that. Nanopolymer means it's 1 atom thick. It's gold because it's conductive and it's coated in a polymer. The battery runs the CPU. The battery is located in the skull. The CPU is located in the hand. How much
Okay.
does it cost to run a single thread of nanopolymer wire from a skull to a hand? Never mind the other implants that are being ran by this battery.
Mm-hmm. Holy
And
shit.
how many times do you have to be in the hospital to have these implants placed in you?
Right.
So I was going for a competition, an event, and to do this, they needed to have an ophthalmological exam, and you go through an ophthalmologist and check your retina and make sure that everything's okay. And so, of course, I go to the ophthalmologist and pay the $70 and sit down, and I want to compete, so I follow the program. Well, he looks into my eye and his face turns white. I never, I'm very good at recognizing facial expressions and reading people, I'm very good at
Yeah.
reading. I asked him, is everything okay? And he says,
Oh, what did he find?
he goes, he goes,
Oh no.
you're in a competition, right? I said, yes. And he goes, well, good luck to your opponent.
Oh.
And I thought, that's very weird. Why would he say that?
Yeah.
And me personally, I thought it was quite normal. But as I look at something, I have a dot that shows me what I'm looking at, and another dot that shows me the distance of what I'm looking at. It's like a rangefinder. The first dot determines what I'm looking at, and the second dot determines how far away I'm looking. So
Oh
if I
my
look
God.
at something, it's here. If I look at far at something, it's here.
Mm-hmm.
The dot is not visible unless I'm in program.
Say that again. It's not visible unless you're.
Unless I'm in program.
So you're not seeing it right now?
No, people would think of the super soldier as something that would be, hey, that's very patriotic and that's really, stand up of you to do. And I like the term super soldier. It's something my mom came to me with and said, hey, this is what you are. You are a super soldier
Hmm.
based on all the stuff that you put together. I would more actually call it a Manchurian candidate. It's actually
Hmm.
a more accurate term, right?
Hmm.
Again, these people are unaware of what they're doing. Are they actually accountable if they're unaware of what they're doing and they're doing it under a guise that is, in a sense, the very person, the very scientist, Dr. Pavlov, who is responsible for much of this research, had came out with an experiment where he had connected a donkey to an electrode, and connected it directly to the brain, and connected it to the arousal portion of the brain, so that when the donkey, the device the device was made so that it's connected to a level, and when the donkey walked uphill, it received benefit.
Ah, okay.
The donkey could not walk uphill enough. The donkey killed itself walking uphill. They
Because
considered it
it
they
wouldn't stop walking uphill, or?
considered it inhumane, and they didn't tell the public about the experiment.
Mm.
This is how motivationally driven these people can be. They'll do it to
Hmm.
whatever the mission is, and they're programmed to do it. Listen, if I give you a command and you do it, I will give you this reward. Okay,
Hmm.
thanks to Pavlov. They just took his
Hmm.
research and took it to a new level. And thanks to the battery connected to the camera,
Hmm.
connected to the central processing unit, they can record everything that I've seen and is most likely on a database somewhere, whether I remember it or not.
Yeah. Holy shit.
There's also a microphone, GPS. You see, now I understand exactly what I'm saying.
So these are the different chips.
Yes. And why would that be important? It's because when you go
Hmm.
through a portal, like the one I just described,
Hmm.
it fries usually most of your mechanical technology. If you try to take
It
a
fries
it
it.
fries it through the electromagnetic field. If you were to try to take a normal camera through there, a VHS camera would only record static. A digital camera would lose its battery in moments. Notice
Oh, really?
it's happening at I don't know, Frog Tree Ranch and these other mysterious ranches that have these mysterious portals. Yeah, that's what's going on. Okay?
Yeah. See, it's funny. I was just wondering earlier today if someone were to take their phone through a portal, if the phone would work.
No,
So no, it would it would
it
get
would
fried.
it would probably work once you got to the other side, but you wouldn't be able to record the journey through the portal.
Okay.
Likely, the
Interesting.
type of electricity that was used to create the portal would create interference in the device.
Okay. Gotcha. So they've created this whole system where they could record through your eyes to see, and they're listening and able to control you through the Pavlovian response too, to do things, right? To
To do
do this mission or not to, or to forget or not forget.
and think about it, their only defense is that no one will believe that it's even possible.
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The devil's
Yeah.
biggest defense was nobody would even believe it was possible.
Yeah. So if you were to tell someone, most people would say, you're crazy, that's not possible, and
Exactly.
just completely dismiss it.
Exactly. But
Yeah.
if you research, you're going to discover that they have already had this technology for some time now.
Mm-hmm.
It's very obvious there are other people that talk about it. There are other people that understand how it works and have already tried to come out and talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
They've been made into wackos or loonies or disinformation of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah, I'm curious. So I know you've been like, I don't, do you know how many people have been a part of this super soldier? Like, do you have any sort of clue? And I know you also said when you were awake and conscious in that room, there were several other young men that looked like you. Like, do you know if there were also women or if it was mostly men? Do you have any clue?
you know what? People have asked me about the women part of it, and as far as my experience in the program, I never personally saw any women. But if you think about it, the woman that was injecting my calf is top secret or above. She's
Mm-hmm.
got that type of clearance. And also the other concept is if you have compartmentalization in these types of programs that's this deep, you
Mm-hmm.
can't go into the program unless you're willing to be wiped coming out of the program.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so even like the nurses or the security guard, they'd have to be
Everyone
wiped.
involved,
Everyone gets wiped.
everyone involved has a chip. Everyone involved gets modified.
Oh my God. So
Right.
is everyone consenting in some way? Like how they tricked you to get
Well,
you to consent?
they have to use hypnosis in order to get it to work. And so through hypnosis, you must be willing, you must be a participant, you must accept it on some level. And that is exactly how they discovered that loophole. They found
The
out, well,
loophole, right?
yeah, how can we trick people into accepting it? Well, it's really simple. You just make it very disarming and you make it so that it seems as though if you do make this choice, there'll be nothing really harmful that comes from it. You're hopefully just going to get some small amount of spiritual enlightenment and growth and change into the direction that you're, yeah, whatever,
Yeah.
whatever. Those other men at a later date were walked into a room with myself, and that room had an Olympic sized swimming pool in it. And we all were instructed that we were to wade in the water for 15 minutes. We're not allowed to touch the walls. We're not allowed to touch the floor. And so we
Mm-hmm.
all got into the water. And as we got into the water and stayed away from the edges and from the bottom, there was a scuba diver on the bottom who came up and grabbed the person next to me and took him to the bottom of the pool and jumped on his stomach until all of the air came out of his belly. They screamed at me during this time, do not watch him, do not watch him, do not watch him. They pulled him out of the pool and revived him, and guess what? I was next because I watched him. And as they're dragging me to the bottom of the pool, the guy's looking at me like, you can fight this, but if you do, I'll just essentially kick your butt all the way to the bottom of the pool.
Yeah.
What's going to happen is what's going to happen is what's going to happen. And so I just kind of just said, okay, that's, and they took me to the bottom of the pool, jumped on my stomach until all the air came out, pulled me out of the pool, and when I was revived, the last person was being taken under.
Mm-hmm.
We
What
were
was
not,
the point of that exercise?
we were not instructed as to the purpose of this exercise.
Wow.
Some of them didn't have a purpose. They were just to make you scared.
Yeah. Wow.
The more that a person doesn't want to be around, the more the person wants to vacate from their body, the more the person wants to just escape, the more they want to shrink into themselves, the more they get sandy and wet and hit by a fire hose and yelled at, and there's loud music and I can't get any sleep, the easier it is to control them.
Yeah, they become more compliant the more
That's,
they're torn down.
that's right.
I see. Okay.
So
So it's a form of torture in a way,
they're
just
trying to create an uncomfortable situation so that you'll want to escape yourself. And then it's easy to break the spirit, come back in and rebuild it any way they want to, and then put any type of personality over the top of that that fits the motive. They've taken people out of
mm-hmm.
their households and given them whole new parents. And the parents don't know and the children don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well,
When originally they started opening portals, they just started grabbing homeless people off the streets and throwing them through the portal to find out where it was going to go. When Tesla discovered how to open a portal, it was magic to them. And so they again tried to film the other side, but there was no way. And I'm not
mm-hmm.
stepping through it myself. So let's get homeless people and throw them through. We had a huge loss of homeless people. And then, oh, let's get kids. And we'll take those kids and we'll restructure their subconscious by beating them until they're almost dead. And if they die, oh well. And then we'll implant them with recording devices and send them to alternate timelines and
Mm-hmm.
use them as chrononauts, is what they're called.
Say that again?
They're used as chrononauts.
What is that?
A chrononaut is somebody who's sent to a future time to discover it, to see if we are capable of changing our timeline to match that timeline.
Okay.
We are now deriving time for our own safety.
Hmm.
See things that are coming that are terrible for us and avert them or steer away
Mm-hmm.
by using the chrononauts.
So were you a chrononaut or other people were?
I have experienced other times. I was in the future a couple hundred years, 200 or 300 years, and I've been in the time that I'm being trained and programmed. And again, they'll throw the kids into the future to train them. They'll bring them back and say, okay, what did you see? And they'll compare it to what they recorded. And they're trying to see how much information they can get back and how much this person might know about something that could be in their genetics. It can come up through past lifetime experiences. They're
Mm.
doing research in many different ways. And in the future that I was sent to, uh, essentially humanity had been destroyed and the buildings were all completely empty and people were living in makeshift shelters that they built in the overpasses for the highways because they were still there, they
Mm-hmm.
were still strong, and they were
Yeah.
it was pretty wild to see. But again, I'm coming back to tell us about this is what the future was, and they say, well, that's not a great future. Let's find a different one we do like.
Let's find a different one.
And so we averted several terrible futures. It's it's again hard to be patriotic about it when the method they had to go about it was the one that they had to go about it with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It seems like there could be a completely different way to do this that would be ethical.
Well, it's all about the approach. If they had started the approach with fear in mind, then the outcome is going to be fear. And if it's
Right.
with heart in mind, the the same technology can be used with heart in mind, and the outcome will be heart
Right.
exponential, right? So that's part of this. That's part of the goal is to just say, hey, people, we've got batteries that last forever. You're never ever going to have to plug your refrigerator in ever again.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, come around to the realization that that's a key factor here. And so when people start waking up to that idea, hey, wait, that's true. That's true. My gosh, look how the world's going to change. Could we use that battery to power a laser rifle that doesn't ever go dead? Sure, we could. Sure, we could. But
Mm-hmm.
with fear, we're coming out of it with fear. We're going in it with heart, we're coming out with heart. Could that technology be used to guide humanity into becoming the Borg? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Could it be used to guide humanity into becoming the most spiritual race in the universe? Sure could. Sure could. It's us. We need to choose now. We as humanity are in that focal point where we can choose. Do we let the cell phones take us into Borgland? Or do we guide the technology into taking us into a more wholehearted approach?
Mm-hmm.
Or
It's like we're at
human?
that tipping point.
Yes. That's part of
Yeah.
what's important for us to open our eyes a little bit and see what's going on.
Yeah. Do
We
you
don't
feel like do you feel like that's part of why you're wanting to come forward with your truth
absolutely.
nowadays is to share the truth and let people know that these technologies exist
That's right.
and this is how they have been utilized.
Yes.
But
Absolutely.
we do have this option that we
Absolutely.
could use them for good.
Right. Take into consideration what the possibilities are. It's very simple. Okay. The public is told about 114 elements. They're not told about the other four because they're being utilized to do this. This is part of the technology they're utilizing. Again, the more the public understands, the closer we are to getting back to being humans.
Yeah.
It might be a scary approach, it really will. But we're at that level now, whereas if we don't take this approach, scary as it
Mm-hmm.
might be, if we don't take get courageous, get some courage. We
Mm-hmm.
could, if we don't take it, right? If we don't take authority and we don't take the initiative of our own evolution, then someone else will, and they'll evolve us for their purposes and not our
Mm-hmm.
purposes. And so that's one of the futures. One of the futures that we saw was that humans became bored. And we said, this is not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
We said, something's got to change. And we can clearly see how easily it could happen.
What do you think is the best way for us to change? What do you think is the best way for us as a race, as a planet, to get onto one of these positive timelines?
The first step is going to be realizing that we're all in this together. And a lot of people are going to have a hard time with that. If you wanted to talk to my past self, you'd have a very hard time with that.
Mm-hmm.
Part of the program of being in the super soldier program when you got to the higher levels was that we worked directly side by side with reptilians. And they were not
Holy
pleasant
shit.
people. They're not happy. They're not good to be around. It's not a fun, exciting day.
Mm-hmm.
Again, more of a reason to keep some compartmentalization and secrecy.
Yeah.
And so here we have these reptilians that are directing these black Pleiadians that are directing these black humans.
Mm.
And so again, should we be upset at them and blame them and cast them out and ostracize them? And you see why I'm saying it's not going to work.
Yeah. The hate only creates more hate.
It creates more hate. We've
Yeah.
got to, we've got to receive even the people, the reptilians, we've got to even receive them as thank you for helping us to stand on our feet again.
Wow.
Yeah, I know it's a tough one.
Yeah. That would be huge to be able to forgive
We
and
need
love
to see
and
how we're all
accept.
together. Yes,
Yeah.
we were duped. Trick me once, shame on you, but trick me twice. So that's when
Mm-hmm.
we get on our feet and we say, hey, thanks for tricking me once because that really worked.
Yeah.
But this time, let's take some of this technology and how about we, I don't know, make a difference in Atlantis's world? How about instead of being warmongers, we become rescuers?
Mm-hmm.
How much difference could we make in Atlantis's life if we were to take this very exact technology and assist them?
Wow. The possibilities are literally infinite.
Beyond what people are
The things that
considering
we could
systems,
do.
to say the least, and pushing us to come to the forefront of accepting the possibilities, first of all. Because if we're still stuck in this concept called that's impossible.
Mm.
So the first thing is to get people, normal people, to realize that yes, they are smarter than you think. Let's put it this way, if you can think of it, they've already paid somebody to think of it 60 years ago. Okay, so
Mm-hmm.
take that in consideration. And yes, they're keeping it from us, but that's not the point here. The point isn't point the finger at them and say, hey, they're keeping it from us. No, the point is
Yeah.
saying, hey, humans, let's get to the part where, um, you know, we all are on the same page. We're all with the same motivation here. We're all with the same. One of the things that humans are going to do is we're going to start taking the entire species into account and instead of just taking ourselves into account. And
Mm.
we are, as a species, selfishly driven. That's how we work. That's okay. That's good. We're built. That's important. We need that. We will start, though, in the next coming years to realize that what we bring to the table will help the entire species, and that's beneficial for all of us.
Everyone.
We are all in this together. So it's just going to reinforce that statement. It's just going to reinforce that concept. And when people of knowledge can come to the understanding that this is what's been going on, they will step in. They already start. They have already started. They'll step in and they'll say, look, we know that this has been going on for some time now, and this isn't right. We're going to, not much we can do about it, but we can stop what's already, we can stop its progress. We can stop what's already in motion, at least, and hopefully get things on a more true course. Okay. If humans in our current war state made it into outer space and continued to expand in that direction, it would probably be bad for the entire universe. No one would see us coming. And we would leave a wake of destruction that would be unfixable. And so to understand that, we're like, okay, hold on. What if we could, even if people didn't understand, talk to them, and on some level they might understand. What if we could reach out to those people who could feel the truth here, and even if it doesn't make logical sense, they can go, you know what, something about that rings
resonates. Yeah.
Something that resonates with me. That's what we're saying. Because in doing that, they're coming aware. It is the 100 monkey theory, you know? There really is, at that point in time, no secrets. There really is, at that point in time, no ability to compartmentalize to the point where it's so drastically dangerous if we don't. Okay. At this time, some people have suggested that in order to move forward, what we need to do is provide amnesty for all involved.
Okay.
What they have suggested is that in order for us to move forward, we need to just let everybody off the hook and say, listen, we know what you've done. It's okay. We forgive you. You're done. Let's just move forward from here.
What do you think about that?
I believe it's the only way.
Otherwise, it just continues to perpetuate.
Those people who want to hide the fact that they did this to other people. If it was your job to go to work and beat children with a crowbar until they potentially died, and then use hypnosis and drugs to change their psychology, and maybe you don't even remember doing that, but yet part of you does, and it's eating you alive. So we need to let those people off the hook so that they will come out and say, okay, look, if you'll forgive me, I'll stop doing it, and I'll come out and I'll stop hiding it, and I'll stop.
Forgiveness really is the only way. I mean, whatever aspect it is, or else you just continue to put that negativity towards that person or that event, and you're holding on to it, the past, and you can't move forward.
And it'll just be repeated until the lesson is finally learned.
It would just keep being repeated, right?
Yes.
Because on the other, what would the other option be? Like, put these people in jail or something? Like, and then that keeps it perpetuated too.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right. No, it needs to be a situation where people come to the realization that because, I think it was like Reagan who said, if there was an outside force that came against us all, we would all unite as one.
I've heard that. Yeah.
And Reagan was talking about alien intruders, and people have talked about a false flag attack and the current technology that we have and how it could be utilized to, in a sense, through a negative way, unite us as an entire human population. And it would, but it would do it in a not so positive way, and in a way that we would have animosity, and that doesn't help any kind of leader.
Yeah.
And so as a leader, you need to know the way, you need to go the way, you need to show the way, and you need to not create animosity along the way. That's MLK. Martin Luther King. So the point here is that if they're going to be the leader in this process, they need to come out and say, look, we made mistakes.
Acknowledge and accept and own your mistakes. Take responsibility for them. That's the only way.
There's no way we're going to fix it. Here's where we're going from here. And the only idea that can stop that is fear of ourselves. We're afraid of Russia. We're afraid of Germany. We're afraid of the people who don't even have a country, who have underground bases in the ocean that are creating technologies that are beyond our comprehension, and they could come out at any moment in time and wreak havoc on all of us, and we would be. And yeah, that's a possibility. It could happen for sure. That's exactly why we need to tear the borders down and become one single team. Oh, that sounds like the world order type thinking. That sounds like one world government. That sounds like no, it sounds like humans uniting as a single species.
Unity. Yeah. I remember I used to have this dream, I guess, where the whole planet would just basically be one country where everyone could travel freely. There wouldn't be separation. Like we would be in unity. And it's my understanding that, so I'm kind of seeing psychically right now that that's the way it is in the rest of the cosmos. Like I'm seeing it now that the planet is in unity. Huh. That's cool. I hadn't seen that before. It's not separated by all these countries and different governing bodies and different laws.
Mars or on Pluto. Well, not anymore. But you understand.
Wait, say that again? I think
states or countries, on Mars or Pluto. Well, not anymore. I mean, but you understand, right? At some point, probably.
As a part of the Super Soldier program, did you ever go off planet for any missions, or were they just on Earth?
No, I was still on Earth for all of my missions. Again, I was probably put on the lower roster as I was a flight risk, and
you were a flight risk.
Causing problems anytime I could get a chance. I might have experienced. I may have experienced operating some craft. I may have experienced some things like this. Not sure what I don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know.
You don't know what you don't know. And if you take into consideration that where we are right now, 2026, right? And we consider that current, present, this is here where we are. Mm-hmm. But then think about 1956.
Mm-hmm.
Think about 1943. Let's even go back that far. 1943, where they had Project Rainbow and the Eldridge, and this is where they're discovering how to use Tesla's technology to bend time-space. Okay. Right? So this puts things into perspective quite well. 43, 83. All right. Tesla took the Eldridge, put 3 generators on it, and pulled it out of time space using these generators. Okay? And then you look at the 50s. And in the 50s, what they did was they took moms that were born in the 50s and began to augment them in preparation. And when they got to the 70s, those moms had children. And those children were part of a hybridization program. And this hybridization program was the origin portion of the Super Soldier program. Hence why these people came out with ridiculously high IQs, ridiculously high skills, and why they were watched their entire lives.
Okay, so this wasn't decided after you were born. It was planned before you were even born.
I was told very late in life about this part of the project. And so again, I didn't have any idea why things were so different for me. But I was told that it took 2 years to construct. So in their process of building hybrids to create a better soldier, and then taking those hybrids and putting them through a control program to better control, you can see where it's all going. The purpose of this is simple. If we do not take control of the direction of human beings in their course of evolution, they would definitely have headed straight towards the Borg. They would have become clearly very entities being directed by a very dark group. The Pleiadians were being directed by the Lizzies, who that particular group of Lizzies is a very dark group. They were harnessing downward cascading spiraling energy so that they could utilize it for power and food. In other words, they were causing people to be afraid so that they had sustenance. They were basically hacking into people's lives and causing them to emit a frequency of fear that they would then turn into a food source and a power source.
How would they hack into people's lives?
Subconsciously.
Subconsciously.
They would either do
To
it through
create
dreams.
fear.
Yeah, through dreams, maybe abduct them and put them through fear, especially children. Through social programming, every generation of children growing up is hyper bombarded by dinosaurs. They can't escape it. It's connected to the idea that if the child comes to the parent and says, I saw a reptilian that scared the heck out of me, they say, oh, you dreamt of dinosaurs. It was a hierarchy that was set up so that they could funnel fear off of the planet in droves. And they needed it to be a secret, compartmentalized. In order to do that, they needed super soldiers. It gets deeper and deeper as you get down the rabbit hole.
As you keep going. Yeah.
It's deeper and deeper. And so now you understand that as humans, we were stuck, we were trapped, we were under duress by another civilization entirely that had 150,000 years of advanced technology on us. We were doing what we had to say. And we were doing the best we could to try to get out of that. And the reason I bring this up is very important. I'm not just going off on some tangent. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it takes the accountability away from those people who are in that position. Again, they were under duress from the reptilians. They did what they did, and they did horrible things, but they did it because they didn't have much of a choice. It takes them off the hook a little bit. When humans come around to realizing that we've been manipulated by another species, then yeah, the terrible stuff that we've done to ourselves is indeed forgivable at that point. It is move-onable. It is going to be amazing when we create what we create with what we have already. So.
I've heard that the original design of Earth was infiltrated by the reptilians, and that Earth was originally supposed to be a beautiful, peaceful planet for us humans to just be and to enjoy. It's supposed to be beautiful, like a vacation spot.
Yes.
And so then what happened? They weren't supposed to be here, right?
It's a really neat story. The planet was created as a library, and it carries tons and tons and tons of information in a codex. It's encoded. And so the purpose of it is that you can, like a bank, come here and store your information in code and know that it will be safe, and know that no one else can access your information without that code.
Wow.
And in fact, it's not just the Earth. It's the entire solar system. It's a 12 system. The entire solar system is a living library, as it's been called.
Really? So other solar systems are not also libraries? It's unique to us?
Their universe. Right. We are very special. We're very unique to the entire universe. This is a composite where many have come to put their DNA to store it for generations and know that it'll be here and cannot be accessed by anybody else that doesn't have the code to get in.
Wow.
Except if the people guarding the door won't let you in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what happened. They said,
How did that happen?
let's make a deal. Let's make a deal so that we can create these wonderful beings that work as the library cards. That's their job. Their goal is to, when we show up, we put the code into them, and like the Dewey Decimal System, they go over and they retrieve the information and give it to us. Isn't that an amazing concept?
Hmm.
That's what humans are. We're the library cards. We're the librarians. We originally were designed with 12 strands of DNA. And the people who were in charge of putting this DNA construct together were the reptilians. They are the geneticists of the universe, master geneticists.
Hmm.
The Pleiadians are the master time travel of the universe. They understand time,
Mm-hmm.
but the reptilians understand genetics better than anybody.
Okay.
And so the
Yeah,
deal
so each race kind of has their own specialization then.
thing they can do. And the deal was they would come together and give the reptilians the genetics, and they would put them together in a way that the humans could act as library cards and everybody could come and access their information. And the reptilians said, then we want access to all the information. And they said, no, 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 that's not how it works. And the reptilians said, well, if that's the case, we're just going to guard the door and nobody gets in.
Wow.
For the last 150 million years.
Wow.
Right.
So what can you say more about nobody is able to get in?
The reptilians removed 10 of the strands of the DNA out of the humans, giving them,
Dumb us down.
they dumbed us down. We are supposed to have access to all 12 chakras. Those 12 chakras connect to the nervous system directly through the DNA, through the 12 strands. But if we only have survival and recreation, procreation, which is all we absolutely require to survive, then yes, we
Yeah,
can
the bare
dump.
minimum.
Yes. Our brain is receiving 400 billion bits of information per second, but we are aware of 20,000 because our nervous system can't handle the information due to the fact that it's missing 10 strands.
Oh my God. This is so making sense.
When we come back together as humans, we'll receive the information back. We will evolve again.
So, but it seems like what I'm picking up on, so your training, being a super soldier, as traumatic as it was, and being against your consent, they've activated some things in you that most humans don't have. Can you speak more to that?
Is it possible that that's the case, or is it possible that it's part of the hybridization program?
Mm.
I'm not sure. I'm not sure. I was most likely designed as a virus, designed to be underestimated, to be able to infiltrate the system, and to cause a real problem so that it would
Mm-hmm.
potentially collapse in on itself, or at
Mm.
least make enough of a doorway that others could get in from the outside and finish the job. When they
Mm-hmm.
made me, they knew that this world was being turned into a prison planet and that the humans were being held hostage, and that they
Mm-hmm.
designed me like a missile to shoot directly to the center of that problem and to cause a difference. I was handpicked by those people because my genetics fit exactly what they were looking for. But what they didn't understand was that I was created. So
Mm-hmm.
people creating me, I believe, the tall grays, were designing a virus to try to break the system open so that they could
Okay.
end the war, which they did finally succeed in, and the war is now over.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I was picking up on that because, like you said, with the reptilians guarding and no one else could come in. So, in order for anything to change, there had to be change from inside. So, I was thinking of like the star seeds.
Yes.
in that program, and us souls incarnating in to be born inside and make change from within. And so then it sounds like similar but different what you're saying. And I don't know that much about the hybridization program, but it sounds like you said, did you say the tall grays, or which grays?
The tall
The
grays.
tall grays. So
Yes.
were they then assisting by creating the virus, the people from within, like you, that would basically fuck everything up?
Absolutely.
Is
I
that
thought
right?
because you have this dark faction of the government that has been infiltrated, I would say, by a reptilian group, and the way that they did it was by bringing in a 3 foot tall gray. Here's an alien, check it out, and we just clamored onto that. We loved that. That was
Uh-huh.
the greatest idea, and what we did was we invited it into our door, and all of a sudden now they had access to the whole situation in a sense. And so then they came in and through demanding duress said, listen, you'll do what we're asking you to do, or we'll just flush your whole system down the toilet,
Mm-hmm.
send you back to the Stone Age again,
Again.
again, like we did the last 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm. Like with Atlantis and Lemuria.
Moo.
Okay. Yeah.
The reptilians were responsible for holding a comet over our planet 13,800 years ago that rained down on our planet for 20 solid years before it finally landed into one of our oceans, causing a tsunami which drowned Atlantis. They were
Mm.
bombarded with fear for 20 years before they were finally hit hard. And in that time, which we now call Halloween, October 31st, November 1st, the
Mm-hmm.
planet went through a restructuring where we were sent back to the Stone Age by the reptilians.
Mm-hmm.
And in the last 14,000 years, we have crawled our way back out onto land.
To where
And,
we are now.
and all they got to do is walk into Area 51 and say, hey, look, if you don't do what we're asking you to do, we'll send you all back to the Stone Age again. How do you like that? This is
Mm-hmm.
important because, once again, it takes our scientists off the hook.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yes, we have done terrible things as human beings, even in the name of science, even in the name of
Mm-hmm.
progress, but it is probably under duress.
Mm-hmm. Because of the fear here and the control.
Right.
Mm-hmm. And having most of our DNA strands taken away from us.
Right.
So
This would
do
be,
sorry, go on.
no, you're okay. Go ahead.
Yeah, so the two strands of DNA, so does each strand of DNA correlate to the chakras? Because like we normally hear about the seven main chakras. I know it's a much more in-depth system. There's ones even in our central channel below and above us.
Yes,
But so is that each chakra correlates to a strand of DNA?
that's correct. That's correct. You have 12 major chakras, okay? And those 12 major chakras are aligned in the body. The seven are very commonly known in their
Mm-hmm.
average spots. And then you would have a pink one that's several inches above the head, maybe to a couple feet. And then would be peach, one that's into what would be probably the atmosphere, the moon height, depending on the person. And then you would have
Okay.
a grasshopper green one that would be maybe where Pluto is. And then you might
Mm.
a one that would be like baby blue where the center of the galaxy is. And
So it
so
connects out that far. Our chakra system connects out that far.
exactly. And so this is where people can receive cosmic information, cosmic
Through
energy,
these chakras. Okay.
chakras that we're not aware of. And you can imagine how much more empowered we'd be if we did have awareness of this. Well,
Mm-hmm.
reptiles wouldn't have a chance to sneak up on us, that's for sure.
Right. Yeah. If we were empowered.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And it also
Yeah.
gives access to the library. So when the Pleiadians show up with the frequency of love and
Mm-hmm.
access their information through their codex, we experience that as well.
Okay. So can you explain the library thing? This is my first time hearing this.
It's okay. If you think
Yeah.
of DNA itself as being somewhat like a library that's in a codex, think of how much information is involved in there.
Yeah.
And
How much information is stored in our DNA. Right. Okay.
on top of that, if you look at our DNA, it shows very, very, very clearly that there has been manipulation being done over a long period of time. It shows that every 20,000 years, somebody has come in and spliced the DNA, showing that it has been manipulated so that these particular qualities would be um, gathered and protruded into the next generation, and these particular qualities would,
Mm,
and so it's completely unnatural. Those qualities would be
unnatural.
something like, oh, I want these particular eyes, I want these particular hair qualities. And so the things would not be concurrent or congruent with nature because it doesn't connect to their environment. And yet our DNA
Mm.
very clearly shows this manipulation, and it shows it consistently once every 20,000 years.
So who's doing it? Is it the reptilians? Is it?
Absolutely.
Hmm.
If the reptilians have access to a time portal, all they need to do is show up here, make an adjustment, go back, show up the next place, make an adjustment, show up in the next place, make an adjustment. They could do 15 adjustments in one day.
Hmm.
The course of humanity's evolution over a very long period of time, 150
Yeah.
years.
So one question, well, two questions I'm having. The first one is, so this has been happening. Um, so my first question is about source, because there's a higher power. So source has been allowing this to go on. I don't know. Can you speak more to that? So that was so that's my first question. And the second question is, so if I guess source has been allowing this to happen, but then there's also, it's like my second question is, why haven't other species like the Pleiadians or someone stepped in to help us, for so long if it's been going on this
Those are
long?
both really good questions. It's going to open up this nice can of worms. Okay. No,
Okay, here we go.
that's great. Now, okay, so let's do the first question first. Okay, how has our Father, just rebuked it? How is it possible that we're not being listened to? How is it possible that we're suffering for 150 million years and no one has
Uh-huh.
heard our cry? Right? How has God
Yeah.
overlooked this?
Yeah.
How has our Father forsaken us? No, this is because God has no judgment in the first place. All things are
Mm.
allowed in the free will area. Okay.
Yeah, we have free will and God sees everything as love.
God doesn't forgive because God doesn't condemn. There's no need to forgive if there's no condemnation. God
Mm.
loves the reptilians just as much as God loves us. We're not special if you looked at it like that.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
God is rooting for the reptilians just as much as us. Absolutely.
Which is crazy. It's that, yes, I have come to understand that. It still blows my mind because I feel like I'm a person who's in love. And when I feel love, I feel closer to source or closer to God. But it's still the yin and yang, and God's source is also in the darkness, right?
Right.
Is the darkness simultaneously. And it still just blows my mind.
To give you a thread in, okay, here's what's going on. All right. Tesla creates a coil. That coil is able to create a 0 point, which means that if the person who's experiencing it isn't 0 pointed out, they're going to return to their normal natural timeline. Okay. Tesla
Okay.
understands this. Tesla says, listen, there was only 2 generators on this thing right now. In order for it to get enough power to work the way you want it to work, we're going to have to put a third one on there. But to put a third one on there, it needs to be zeroed out. They said, we
Mm.
don't have enough time to do that. there was a deadline. The deadline was what, August 3rd, something like this, 1943. There's a very important reason for that. And that's because when they opened this portal in time-space, and again, Tesla decided to bail out on this situation because he knew that there was no way they're going to zero it out before the deadline. So he says, look, I'm out of the project. You can count me out. And von Neumann said, I can take up the slack and I can make it work for sure. And von Neumann didn't take into account for the 0 point, and they punched a hole in time-space, and the reptiles took advantage of that.
They were
And
able to enter.
they took us, our entire timeline, out of the original timeline, out of God's timeline. So you can understand now how, since it is a subject timeline, they could do literally anything to it. It doesn't matter because it doesn't affect God's timeline. It's in its own separate bubble. From
So,
43,
but the original timeline still exists then?
the original timeline still exists, and I'm not sure God would allow stuff like that to happen in the original timeline. It's just too negative.
Mm-hmm.
But in its own timeline, in a bubble timeline, they could literally flush the whole thing down the toilet and it wouldn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
They
So is
could,
that the timeline we're on now?
it's the timeline we were on.
We're on. We're on. Mm-hmm. Earth
Were,
was on.
we were on that timeline. We were in big trouble. We were in big trouble because the Earth was not only not being used as a library, it was being used as a farm to collect as much negative electric power as possible, to generate as many humans as possible so that they could generate as much negative power as possible.
It's so sad.
A little,
Yeah.
kind of. It is. It sort of is. But it gives us an eye-opening moment. It gives us a reality check, and it gives us a chance to say, hey, look, if we adjust our frequency and receive the original timeline, we will pop out of that and get back to our original course, which is exactly. And you ask, well, how come these other species didn't jump in? And that's because there isn't only one timeline. In their timeline, Earth doesn't have a whole lot of stuff going on. You have to imagine this very valuable library is actually hidden in the trash on the edge of the Earth, on the edge of the universe, on the edge of the galaxy, you could say.
Yeah.
So it's hidden in a timeline of its own. It's hidden. In order to find it, you would have to know what timeline it's in. The Pleiadians speak a little bit about this. And the reptilians took advantage of that. And they said, oh, yeah? So wait, you mean to tell me that nobody can find this timeline? Perfect. It's completely compartmentalized? Perfect. We're going to turn it into a farm. And they started collecting negative or downward cascading, spiraling orgone or life-giving energy. It's source energy. And if it cascades downwards, they can use it for power. They use it like Thanos' gauntlet. They have unlimited power. They become gods. And they see us as bugs that get hit on the windshield. We're just casualties. We're just a side effect of their product. They don't give a crap about us. They're going where they're going and we're in the way, according to their own.
Yeah. Well, it makes me think again about consent because, bringing it back to your story and how there was this loophole for them to get your consent.
Yes.
Because my thought is like, did humans ever give consent, to have this done to us, this timeline?